Hello, everybody, and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am TheOutbackAl.
I'm Yin&Jung.
I'm Chibi New.
I'm Envy Jitters.
I'm CheerandCosplay.
And I'm Kozi.
And we're back once more. We got more things going on with the Come Buy Our Shit tournament, or Collect Them All tournament. Yeah, no. There was a reason we didn't want to call it Come Buy Our Shit tournament, because YouTube doesn't like you when you swear this early in a thing. But hey, we did it anyway. The Collect Them All tournament. We've gotten...
We're not monetized. That's
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
No
nothing
advertisers.
matters. Nothing matters. So, last 2 weeks we did the action figures category. And we had Zoids beating Gundam Build Fighters, and then... No, that was the week after. BlackRock Shooter beat Transformers. So
I got my weeks confused.
That's alright, it happens. These shows, to some degree, will all be a little bit the same after a while. So, that concludes the action figure category. We're moving on to card games now, and we're starting with Cardfight Vanguard versus Build Divide. Two relative newcomers to the game. Cardfight Vanguard was like the mid-2010s, and Build Divide came out in 2021, I believe. So,
Yep, it did.
Yeah. Anyone heard of these shows before?
Nope.
No?
I have heard of Cardfight Vanguard, but I haven't seen it till
Yeah,
now.
same.
Yeah, I think it's appeared a couple times at like conventions and stuff for like the different games and tabletop type things that they have there. But yeah, so at the very least, there's some name recognition there. And Build Divide, I think I said that we kind of included because it's one of the newer, like the newest of them. So like kind of see where things are progressing and where they're going throughout this category. Yeah, should we just get into it? Anyone have any pre-thoughts before we start here? Oh wait, I should say this. I did, after watching both of these shows, go online and look up YouTube tutorials of how to play the games.
Same.
They do teach you how to play the game in the show. It is
Nice.
accurate.
They do spend. They do have characters explain the rules.
Yeah, I'll go a little bit.
every show.
I'll add a little more detail to that when we get to some stuff like that. But these two shows apparently do accurately portray how to play these games. So that's something. Okay, so Cardfight Vanguard, I think, is our first one. Why don't we go into that? So we have... This is the story of a loser.
Aichi.
Yes.
A
Aichi.
twink.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely a twink.
I'm going to be real with you. We don't know how young he is. Maybe let's
He's
be
16.
careful. What?
Yeah, he's in high school.
Okay.
He's
All right.
15.
He's the short and loser, shy kid that everyone picks on. But you know, he has aspirations to be a big time card playing person. And we also have some guy who's gonna probably be his friend rival person. The the trope. The other really good card player who everyone's like, oh, they're amazing, but then somehow they beat in the first episode. This is a pretty easy thing to do.
He went easy on him.
It's kids playing card games, man, and they spend the first two episodes kind of explaining the game, and then you get to the second episode, and the kid's little sister wants to play, and you know, you're kind of expanding your cast a little bit with some of the other characters and stuff. I feel like I've covered everything. Am I missing some stuff? There's no dad who was really good at this game, right?
No.
No.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
just the rival.
First week without one of
That
those.
we know of right now.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, and I don't think his actual aspiration was to be a great player.
yeah,
He
he-
just
His
wanted to play against
aspiration-
the guy originally.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I think he just wanted to make friend.
yeah.
He's like, be friend.
I've
Master has given Dobby a card. Dobby is free.
I was actually thinking, Chibs, I thought you might like this because I actually thought it was like that Yawamushi pedal thing with the.
It's a little bit
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
I'm like, this is giving me kind of similar vibes. Although I'm like also a little bit of Kuroko no Basuke. Not gonna lie.
A
Mostly
little
just 'cause
bit,
of-
but I think Kuroko was actually decent at what he did first.
Yeah,
So-
no, for sure.
But yeah. Any other things to cover here before we just go straight into it?
There really wasn't much of a plot. Just
No.
We're there with
Sat-down
any of
now.
these so far. There were.
I mean,
there
I
were.
think at this point it's mostly just let's teach the viewers how to play the game.
That's true. Okay, so why don't we talk plot? If I'm remembering correctly from last week, I think, Kozi, you're starting this one.
Ooh, boy. I was not prepared. I thought I had a minute to collect my thoughts.
Oh, I catch him off guard. That's what I do.
I mean, I guess it's a yay. Like, there's really not much plot here in these first 3 episodes, but, like, it had a consistent timeline that it kept. It went into all the rules. We don't really know where it's necessarily gonna go, but I mean, it's interesting enough. That's all I got.
Okay. All right. I'm kind of a light yay here. I think you're right. This is it's a little light on the plot, but for what we get, it's not like frustrating or anything or like uninteresting, you know. You are teaching them a card game. You have a underdog character you can root for. You have a couple rival characters, and you kind of like showing the game, kind of expanding the cast a little bit and being like, oh, here we're going to play cards and you're going to learn more about cards and we're going to make friends and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, I mean, we'll see how some of it goes, but so far it's pleasant enough.
Yeah, I'm going to preface by saying I'm not really into these kind of shows, so I was kind of bored, but I feel like it would be that way with any of these kind of shows, where they basically are just playing a card game for 90% of the episode. But if I'm talking about, did it do what I think it set out to do, and was the plot what I think people who like these shows would like, then sure, I guess so. And I think it was clear, and I think the characters at least were, you know, well, we're not going into characters. Yeah, I think it was like a meh to like a light yay for me.
I'm gonna give this a light yay. So again, kind of light on plot right now, but I feel like as far as what our plot for these 3 episodes is mostly just like, again, as I stated, let's teach you how to play the game, so that way when we actually get into the nitty-gritty, you actually kind of understand what's going on, and we don't necessarily need to explain everything all over again. So, which I think for, like, setup that's, like, based around a game is fine. And it kind of, like, gets us a little bit, into getting to know our characters, rather than just kind of, like, shoving them all in our face all at once. So, yeah, that's my opinion on the plot.
I'm kind of a meh overall. I mean, really wasn't much. It's boy wants to impress the person who gave him a card. The card gives him inspiration, and then he fights the guy in one episode, and he ends up winning because of said card, and then he starts hanging out at the card shop with the people that were starting to torment him, but now they're friends. And yeah, just kind of generic to me. So it's kind of, I didn't hate it, but it wasn't anything, you know, that's gonna whack your socks off or anything. So yeah, it's kind of a meh for me.
I'll give this one a light yay. It feels a lot like a sports anime.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the whole rival from childhood, like, oh, I want to grow up and play against you someday.
It wasn't even that, though. He just wanted to show him he got stronger.
Yeah.
By playing a children's card game.
It's like, look how good I got. Praise me.
Today I was thinking about this. I was like, maybe I was a little too harsh on Gundam Build Fighters.
A little late now.
Because I was like, this is also doing the thing. Like, you're not expecting all the stuff to come out of the cards when you're playing it. But then I was thinking more about it. I'm like, no. This is just like an animated representation of what happens when you're playing each card, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
They're on drugs, tripping. Like every sports anime.
More or
like
less.
with Gundam Build Fighters, like gunplay, you don't actually fight them, right? It's more just about building them.
It's a display thing, yeah.
Yeah, I think we went extensively into that.
I think I was exactly the right amount of harsh towards Gundam Build Fighters. I think this is okay, because it's still what the cards do. It's just like a fantastical version of it. It's just letting you see what's going on.
It's making it interesting.
Yeah, it'd be a little more boring if it was literally just them sitting and playing a card game.
Yeah.
So, I'm taking us into characters. I'm kind of a meh here. All the characters are fine. As of yet, we haven't really gotten a whole lot of characterization. I think, unfortunately, part of that is because, for the first 2 episodes, they're mostly explaining the game. So we didn't really get to know much beyond just shy kid wants to not be shy kid, rival kid is rival kid, loudmouth dumbass is loudmouth dumbass. There's not going to be a whole lot of depth here. I get that. But, I still feel like there could have been maybe a little bit more. I don't know. It just didn't really... No one really grabbed me. That I don't remember any of their names. I gotta be real with you. I don't.
Okay, but I feel like you don't normally remember names anyways.
That's fair. That's fair. So that's not a very fair point on my part. I get that. But at the same time... Can't really tell you much about anybody, unfortunately. Shy kid, rival kid, loud kid, little sister, card shop owner. I got nothing. But again, no one's a problem here. It's just no one's really standing out, is all. So, meh.
That's
yeah,
fair.
I kind of agree. I didn't find too much interesting, but I also didn't hate them. I kind of wish that they had something a little bit more quirky or interesting that set them apart from other similar protagonists, but that wasn't really there. At the same time, nobody irritated me. I thought they were all fine characters to follow, so I guess I would just give it a meh as well.
Yeah, I would agree. Honestly, I didn't mind any of the characters, like Al and Yin have both said. So, and again, I wasn't really, offended by anyone showing up on screen and just, severely annoyed. So yeah, I'd probably give it somewhere to, a meh to a light yay.
My thoughts are the exact same as everybody else's. Meh.
Okay, I guess I'll be different. I'll give them a yay. If you
Wow.
thought sports anime was gay, if you thought Free was gay, this is gay.
I wondered if I
Gay,
could
it's
avoid
gay.
thought they were going to start
That's fair.
kissing in the opening.
Yeah, I'm
The kid has a humiliation kink. And an overpowered kink. He just blushes about everything when that one guy talks to him.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even if you want to say, oh, he's 15, it's too young to be... Okay, he's a twink. Not even in a kink way, in a personality way. That's just what he is.
You haven't seen the
Yeah.
internet. They'll do anything.
Oh no, when I started watching the show, I didn't voice the opinion right now, but I was like, yeah, they're already establishing the ship.
Definitely.
Real quick, to Envy's point, you haven't seen the internet? Who are you talking to right now? Cece is the one person who's probably been on the internet the most in those spaces.
That's actually very true.
I'm
Yeah.
going to tell them about how I was playing Crush Course at work today.
No, that's on my Instagram.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I'm also actually a meh. Aichi is just a straight Yugimoto ripoff. The loudmouth and
I
his
thought
friend.
we just established he was gay.
The gay Yugi.
Oh, Yugi's very gay.
Oh, really? I don't think I saw those episodes.
The loudmouth and his friend, I think, are supposed to be the Joey and the Tristan knockoff, because they started by bullying Yugi too. The rival is not a Seto Kaiba ripoff, though. So.
I was talking to my friend at work about the show, and he was like, oh, okay, so in Yu-Gi-Oh! When? And I was immediately like, no. He was like, oh, okay.
So yeah, they took the characters from somewhere else that was more successful than them.
So I know we're kind of done with characters. I do want to point out, yes, he's not a Seto Kaiba. Can I be honest with you? I think he's Chaz from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Oh.
Which is their other
okay.
series set in a
Oh,
school.
no, you right.
Yeah.
Is that an insult, though? Is that character bad?
No,
He's fine for
he's
like
a senpai.
He's a dick. He's the schoolyard
not-
asshole.
No, not Chaz. Alexis's older brother. That's who I was thinking of.
Oh god, I'm trying to remember. I don't think I watched a whole lot of the later season. I remember the one blue-haired kid, Cyrus, had an older brother, but that's about it.
No, Alexis had a blue-haired older brother too. Dark blue.
Didn't see that part. Doesn't matter. So we should stop talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! We're talking about Cardfight Vanguard here, people, and let's talk about the advertising, because that's really what this whole tournament is about. Yin, what'd you think of their advertising?
You know what? They did give me a good idea of how to play this game. I came out feeling so knowledgeable about it. I don't remember much anymore because my memory's shit, but you know what? While I was watching it, I felt like I was learning the game, and it seemed pretty cool.
Yin's like, I could go be a champion.
I could do that, maybe. So, I guess I'd give it a light yay, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I will also give it a light yay. Because they are essentially doing, like, teaching us the rules, also giving us, like, a little bit of a visual representation of, like, what's happening while playing the game. Also, apparently, they have an ad for the card game in the show.
Oh, yeah.
That might have just been because we watched it on the official YouTube channel. I'm not sure that would have been in the broadcast. Maybe it would have been. I don't know.
It was in the broadcast. It's
really?
on Crunchyroll. It's in the broadcast.
Oh my god.
Wow,
It's nice to know that commercial guy is still getting work. I haven't heard him since like 2006.
They're like, yeah, we're a full-on commercial.
Yeah, so I was just like, okay, cool, great. So yeah, light yay for that.
Yeah, I mean, the cards look cool, and the characters on the cards look cool. I mean, that's when you play a card game, obviously, unless, you know, you're... I guess there's two different ways to look at a card game. It's, oh, how cool does the cards look, and how great are they in an actual deck when you are in a competition. So I imagine the cards that they showed were pretty good. He got a pretty rare card, I suppose, and then the cards look pretty cool. So, yeah, if you're into card games, I could see, you know, you liking them enough to give it a try, and they do explain the rules, and it may seem a little complicated at first, but I guess if I played maybe 2, 3, 5 rounds, I might get the hang of the rules, I suppose. So, yeah, they do a decent enough job to maybe entice you to give it a try in real life. So I guess I'll give it a yay.
I'll give it a light yay. You know, saying I feel like I could pick up this game just from watching it, even though I don't have much of an interest in these kinds of card games. I think they did a decent job of showing how to play it. I will knock off a point, though. Kozi pointed out that in a couple seasons, the main character's little sister becomes the main character, we think.
I mean, that's
to
just
try
gonna...
to get in.
I mean, that kind of just happens. I mean, I feel like I talked about there's 18 seasons of Duel Masters, and like his next 3 little brothers who don't even exist in the first season take over. I think it's just eventually not everything can be Pokemon.
Let Cece finish the thought.
Sorry.
Okay, I was wondering where he was going with that. It looks like his little sister takes over as the main character, and it's about her and her friends, who are all girls, to try to get, you know, girls into the show and the game and stuff. But, like, they did not have to make a season about girls to get girls interested. They could have just, like, blasted the opening. Girls would be oh shit, that's gay, and then be into it.
I was gonna say, I'm like, it's gay enough already. Why do you need to do that? Like, they're already watching.
Oh, I got a fun piece of trivia whenever we get to the opening.
Okay, I guess I'm also a light yay. If we take into account that what we're seeing is a visual representation of what's going on. Like, it advertised exactly what the card game was. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh, but with like a fun little twist, I guess. And like, it does look simple enough to play. Like, it wouldn't make me personally want to go out and try it, but I feel like they established what the reality of the, like, playing card games are, which is going to a shop and just playing with other fans. Like, Vanguard was not the end-all be-all of the universe. And I also like that it had that one guy opening a booster pack in class. I'm like, you never see them actually, like, opening their cards and being like, damn, this was a shit pack. That was a nice touch.
I think that happened in Yu-Gi-Oh! Once or twice.
What was the twist that makes it different from Yu-Gi-Oh! You were saying?
Oh, like the stacking fusion thing on like your Vanguard, like not something you can really do in Yu-Gi-Oh, but like how you place cards down and all that is very Yu-Gi-Oh-esque.
I thought you were just gonna say the twist is you don't die in this one.
In the American, no one dies.
I actually thought the game reminded me just a little bit more of Pokemon than Yu-Gi-Oh! The card game. A number of key differences as well, but still, yeah, I think it's somewhere in there. I kind of gave this a full yay, because since we're kind of past action figures and we're kind of starting to get to things that you can actually sort of like do things and like compete or do things with, I'm kind of looking at this from a couple different angles of like, okay, as far as advertising goes, am I initially interested in what you're presenting? Yay. Is this accurate to what I'm seeing? Yay. That's like just what you guys have been saying. But also, and I'm kind of looking at this a little bit how we did world building in the Shonen Showdown, where it's like, are we learning more about it as we keep going in each episode? And the first two episodes, kind of a two-parter, so we can kind of put them together. The third episode, what are we learning? We did actually learn a little bit about like deck composition and like how you want to build it, because you have the moron who was like, I'm going to get all the most powerful cards. Yeah, well, if you don't have medium powerful cards, you can't summon the really powerful cards. And I'm going to be real with you. I had a moment there that felt very real to me, because when I was a kid, I had, like everybody, I collected a bunch of Pokemon cards back in Gen 1. I had me a Gen 1 holographic Charizard, one of the best damn cards in the game, 120 HP, 100 attack for the flamethrower, or whatever it was. By today's standards, very weak card. But it was the best damn card.
Did you not have any energies?
No. It has nothing to do with that. I didn't have a fucking Charmeleon. I don't know what it was, but I could never find a goddamn Charmeleon. Had like 15 Charmanders, 100 fire energies, had that one Charizard, but if you don't got Charmeleon, you can't play Charizard. So.
Rip.
Yeah.
That just triggered a painful memory.
That's a core memory, man. I'm having an inside out moment right now. Look, what I'm saying is, I feel like each episode is kind of teaching you a little bit extra on top of it. And if it continues going like that, I think the advertising will continue to be a yay, because like I said, I looked up the tutorial of how to play this game. They go over the basics in the first two episodes. They don't tell you everything. There's a few other kinds of cards that are like specialty cards, but they're not necessary for like the most basic form of play. So I think as we keep going, you will start to see more stuff. I don't know for sure. If they don't do that, maybe it won't be as good as I thought. But if they continue to kind of teach you every couple episodes, here's a new thing, here's a new rule, we're going to keep adding your knowledge so that you can continue to learn as you watch. That's a full yay for me. Anywho, so moving on to production. Chibi, I think you're up.
Production. I will say for 2012, I will give this like a light yay to a yay. I think it was fine. Visually, like, music was fine. Yeah, no, I had no really big complaints about anything. The opening and the ending were pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same way as far as, the animation. It looks cool. It looks fine. The animation for the attacks and the Vanguard cards are pretty cool. So it's nothing really out of the ordinary. I really enjoyed the OP song, and it's actually done by the same group of people that did the One Punch Man OPs. And I was like, are you kidding me? That's the same group? That's amazing.
I wondered about that.
Yep, Jam Project, that's what their name is. So, yeah, it's that was like, why do I recognize that singer so much? And it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So, yeah, I give it a very light yay, but the song is a yay for me.
I don't really have any complaints. It looks fine. It's older, but it's not like as unwatchable as early 2000s or 90s style for me.
It's not as unwatchable as Dokuro.
I think that was unwatchable for different reasons.
Yes.
We'll say I don't remember if it was the opening or the ending, but it reminded me a lot of the song from Anima Yell.
Oh,
I like
God,
the
I'm
way it
trying
was
to
like-
remember that one.
The cheerleading one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Jotaro's favorite song, remember?
Right, yeah, I did do that thing.
Go fight, win. So, like, that was stuck in my head all night, and that made me happy. So yeah, yay.
I'm also a yay. I think the animation is very well done for, like, the actual card battles. But, like, outside of that, like, it's smooth. There are no real complaints there. The music is really fun, I feel like. And this is just, like, not necessarily, like, a production thing on, like, the creation, but, like, the dub is freaking hilarious. I love it so much.
I'm kind of going to be piggybacking off of this stuff. Envy, I'm glad that you mentioned who made the opening, because I was thinking, like, at one point, I was waiting for them to go, Vanguard! Or something like the One Punch Man opening a little bit. Yeah, so I think the production, I'm give it overall a light yay. I think, for the most part, yeah, it does everything pretty well. It didn't really, like, blow my mind or anything. But as far as the dub goes, I didn't find it very funny until I found one line in episode 3 that I had heard out of context somewhere else. Someone had, like, done, like, it's, like, unnecessary censorship videos for anime dubs. And it was just the line where what's-his-face, Loudmouth, is going, oh, you think you're so cool with your good grades and your good deck, and, like, they censor it so it's like, oh, you think you're so cool with your good grades and your good dick.
Like, yeah.
You know what? I had to stop and be like, you know what? That's hilarious. But I can't give all the credit to the dub for that, unfortunately. That's the unfortunate thing. If you ever want to have funny censorship moments, take a card game anime, because they use the word card, deck, and fight a whole lot, which can be turned into, well, you can guess what they can be turned into. So yeah, light yay.
Yeah, I think everybody else kind of said how I feel about it too. I would give it a light yay overall. Especially, I did like the opening a lot. It was a good gay opening, and
Fan gay!
exactly. Everything else, like everyone else said, was pretty solid. So it's a light yay.
Okay, so moving into final thoughts. Envy, I think you're leading us off on this. Go ahead. Tell us what your final thoughts are on Cardfight Vanguard.
I mean, I didn't hate watching it. I know that's probably not a strong endorsement, but I wasn't blown away either. I was just kind of like your typical kid, you know, feeling sheepish or timid, and then, you know, he gets more confidence by doing an activity, you know, name a sport or card game or whatever. I'm kind of interested to see what the rest of the show is about, besides, you know, playing the card games. Like, is there going to be more people that he fights against? Like, is there going to be tournaments, or is there going to be, like, an evil organization? Because, you know, you always got to have an evil organization in a card game. So I guess it's a light yay to a meh as far as final thoughts. Like, I didn't hate it, but I don't know if I'd continue past these 3 episodes.
You reminded me of... I don't know what reminded me, but you guys reminded me of the part that we thought was the funniest. It was when the little sister thought that the brother was being kidnapped and beat up. And she was just like, he's so big. Oh my god, what are they doing to him? And we're just like, she thinks her brother is being passed around in like a gangbang.
We're gonna take you out back and fuck you. You ready to fuck me? Then I'm gonna fuck you. That is literally, I will send you the unnecessary censored things. They're like a minute long, and it's the best scenes.
So this is a yay for me. I think I would probably keep watching it to see how gayer it gets. I kind of thought I was over that. I haven't been into sports anime since Yuri on Ice.
Honestly, I will say same.
But I'm like, no, this is hilarious. I want more of it.
Yeah, I'm also a yay. I know, Al, you said you didn't think it was that funny, but I think for like me and Cece, it's funnier because I'm the type of person as I'm watching, like I'm making jokes out of it, and it's really easy to make jokes out of. Like,
so you're a riffer.
I'm sorry. Do you think I'm not that?
well, I think
You are.
you sometimes watch these alone.
I will say this much. I have been watching, so far, I've watched everything for this tournament with Yin. And
Yeah.
I have made jokes.
There's been riffs. I promise you.
I think I try to take the majority of, like, that out
You're
of it
taking
whenever
your own credit.
I'm taking my own credit? What?
Yeah, you're saying it's funny because I made it funny. It's not just funny.
No, I'm just trying to, like, take it from, like, what it is as opposed to what I'm adding to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. On its own, it's not funny. It's funny because you made it funny.
Okay, but to be fair, there's a lot of movies that aren't funny that are only funny because you make it funny. The Room is a prime example. It's a terrible movie, but it's hilarious when you watch it with a bunch of people and make fun of it.
Yeah, so like that's where I'm coming from. Like, it's got like all of these moments where like they probably just didn't have the best dub actors, or they gave them really shitty directions. Like the entire like brown-haired guy, like every time he talks and he's just monotone while explaining things, it like had me in tears.
Yeah, I think I'm a light yay here. I think it does enough to make me interested in the card game, and, you know, I'm assuming they're gonna go on to play more games and maybe, like, join a tournament, or maybe an actual antagonist will show up at some point. It's at least, I feel like this is a good starting point for something. So I'll give it a light yay. Not a full yay, because I feel like, you know, I don't know, nothing's, like, hooking for me. But it's enough that I'm like, this is pleasant. This is an enjoyable watch.
Yeah, overall, I pretty much agree with what everyone else said. I think, like I said in the beginning, I'm not very fond of these kind of shows overall, but maybe because, as some other people said, it feels almost more like a sports anime. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it a little bit more than I normally would have, and I think it did achieve what it set out to achieve, and the game wasn't boring or anything, so I'd give it a light yay.
Yeah, I'll also give it a light yay. Honestly, because, like, as far as, like, card game shows are concerned, like, this is one that, obviously, because it does have a lot of the sports anime tropes, that I actually was, like, kind of enjoying while watching it. So, yeah, I feel like I'd watch more of this.
Okay. So, that's Cardfight Vanguard. Shall we move on to its contender, Build Divide?
Before you get into this, I want to say one thing specifically to you.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about how trying to do research for this was so hard because it had such a common name. You weren't using the full name, Al.
Yeah,
It's
the
Build
code
Divide
black.
00000 code black.
I think you don't need the zeros. You can do code black. But yeah, if you just put in Build Divide, you do get a bunch of, like, financial websites for some reason. I did learn that afterwards to do that, and I did a lot better later. So this show is about a town where card games it's a meritocracy based on card games, which honestly is what the majority of card game shows tend to be anyway. So it's just nice that they actually point that out, I guess. And there's a big kerfuffle. There's a tournament going on, or sort of a tournament, a loosely based tournament, where the king, the ruler of this town, is looking for challengers, and you have to collect chips from other people. And we have a kid with amnesia and a really interesting hoodie wakes up, but he has a deck full of Build Divide cards, and turns out he's an amazing player, and he meets up with some other people who are, some of them are really good players, and some of them are not so really good players, but they tag along anyway, and we learn about a Build Divide card game, and I don't even know, man. There's mystery and intrigue, and people know who this guy is, but he doesn't know who he is. And he lives down by the river, but not in a van, let's be clear. And he just wants some bread, man. But they won't give him no bread. He's got to keep playing card games. This
Also,
feels...
at the very end, they're like, there is no world outside of this city.
Oh my god, we're on an island. Well,
It was
you know
not
what?
an island. It was floating in space.
Okay, so a landmass surrounded by nothing else. What would you call that?
A planet?
Okay, that's a fair point. A planet. All right.
Maybe not a planet, but maybe like a meteor?
A satellite.
Satellite, yes.
Doesn't a satellite have to orbit something?
We don't know if it's orbiting anything.
Yeah, it could just be floating or it could be orbiting. But it's called Neo Kyoto.
Yeah. Did I miss anything? I probably did.
Not really.
I think it sums it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you downplayed the hoodie a little bit.
Yeah, the hoodie was good. The
Let's
hoodie
be
was
real
the
here.
best part.
Let's be real here. We got to cover that in character. That should be covered in character.
Yes, that is his character.
Yeah. So,
It's just
but for
the
now,
hoodie.
we're doing plot, and I think Cece's leading this one off.
Great. So, I think, ow, the plot, I just smashed my elbow off the coffee table.
Ouch.
The plot is almost exactly like Aelita Battle Angel. You have, like, slums, the higher-ups, and, like, you gotta fight your way up to the top. The only thing is, instead of rollerball, it's trading cards. And so that's a little bit lame. One of the first, like, phases I went through was, as a toddler, was the Mighty Ducks. I was really into hockey, but I didn't
The
see ice
movie or the
until I was,
TV
like,
show?
The movie.
Okay. Cool. We're talking about anime. I was worried for a second.
No, Cece did not know about the anthropomorphic ducks.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
we don't need to talk about it.
I did not really get to see snow or ice until I was in middle school. I think I went ice skating for the first time when I was 20. So, like,
Same.
to fulfill the Mighty Ducks fantasy, I was on rollerblades, like, constantly as a child. So not having rollerblades in my Aelita just made me kind of sad. The fact that it was trading cards is just not something I'm into, just really did not do it for me.
That was a really weird long tangent that didn't fully loop around.
Not really,
So
no.
was it a name? Or...
Do my tangents ever loop around?
Usually, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm better than I thought.
For the most part, we end up finding our way back somehow.
I guess it's a meh. I'm, like, interested in the world, but I'm not interested in the cards. And it's mainly focused on the cards.
I'll go light yay because there's plot. There's a lot of it. Does it necessarily make a lot of sense? No, not really, but it's there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, like, I will give them that. Like, they managed to sink a hook, I feel like, just on pure, look at this, and then look at that, and then look at this. You're like,
Production.
but what?
Okay, so I'm going to give it some praise, but it's going to sound like I am not giving it praise.
Okay.
So I'm really was struggling between light yay and a hard meh to light nay. I've been bouncing around a lot with this.
Mixed
Go
feelings.
with your gut. Go with your gut.
So I think you're right. There's a lot of plot here. And there's a lot of stuff going on. And that's good. That's good for keeping you interested. I think everything's done competently. But at the same time, I have seen everything here somewhere else already. For example, you said this was Alita Battle Angel. This is the exact plot of Duelist Kingdom from Yu-Gi-Oh! There is a castle, a king, you get a wish from him if you win the tournament, you have to collect a bunch of chips from random people to get to the castle.
Oh.
There is a person who has
Wow.
almost a split personality to cheat at card
Okay.
games.
Okay.
Beyond that, so it's the plot of
Is this-
Yu-Gi-Oh! But it feels like it's set in Sword Art Online.
Yes!
Because-
Yeah.
Exactly that!
And also, moving in beyond that, they're not even playing Yu-Gi-Oh! They're playing Duel Masters with Arknight's art
It's
style.
magic. Yeah.
Yeah, the Arknight's
So-
aesthetic.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's a whole lot of things. Each individually, some of them I like. I'm not a big fan of Sword Art Online, but most of these things individually I like, and you're combining them, great. And you're doing it competently, but it's also one of those, like, I am seeing all of where you got this from. So it's like, not... You don't always have to be original, so a lot of it's execution over originality sometimes, but it's still like, oh, this is just so glaringly Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Mixed with Sword Art Online, so it's like, I have to put myself as a meh. I want to like it really bad, but I'm like... It's just 1 second I'm like, yeah, and then 1 second I'm like, oh. And it's a me thing. I know it's a me thing. But yeah, so that's why I'm kind of in that area.
Now, I don't think it's just you, because as I was watching it, even though I didn't know what it was derived from, I just got this weird sense that it was derivative, and then you started talking about what it's derivative of, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because I don't know why, but just watching it, it just felt like this does not have an original thought at all. Like, I just don't know how to explain it, but I just felt like I was watching, like, a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. So I just did not like the vibes I was getting. I like the aesthetic. I like the character designs. I love that boy's hoodie. But the plot itself just kind of felt like, I don't know, I've seen it in too many places done better, that it's like I just couldn't really get into it. But I did like... I liked some of the aspects, like you guys said. I think the world could be interesting if they expanded on it more. So I'm gonna give it like a strong meh, because yeah, there were good parts, but it just felt like I could probably see it done better elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm somewhere between a meh and a light yay, because I know there's a story here, and I know that this show has, like, 2 seasons, so I'm not expecting us to get, like, too heavily into the plot. I think this is more like a character establishment sort of part of it, and sort of, like, getting us established with our card game as sort of, like, a plot. But I don't like amnesia as, like, a trope in stuff, because it's annoying. So that's kind of not great.
Same.
Despite the fact that he has a killer hoodie, which apparently you can buy because it's a thing.
Where?
So I don't think he has real amnesia anymore.
Okay.
I think he's just
in Where We
refraining.
Are, or later on?
No, like in Where We Are. I think he's remembered, like, the crux of his actual character.
I want to know things, though. Stop drawing it out, and I guess, like, the mystery of it is kind of the thing that's keeping a lot of people hooked. Or at least it's kind of got me hooked, but I'm like, no, establish things. I want to know what's going on. Although apparently he didn't realize the fact that we're on a fucking island. So, that's a thing. I don't know. I guess it's just kind of like, I don't mind the cyberpunk aesthetic and everything. But I feel like, and maybe this is more into characters, like, I feel that they kind of went a bit hard on basically turning him into, like, kind of, an edgelord. But,
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, so for right now, I'm kind of, like, between a meh and a light yay, because while there is plot, it's kind of, like, very slow building, and it is kind of, like, dependent upon how, you know, much more closer we get to facing the king at this point, which, yeah, that's a thing. Moving on. Envy, your turn.
I definitely think that these 3 episodes were more about setting up the tone of the world, the lore of the world, the backstory of the... Well, not so much the backstory, but, like, said how the world operates. Like, you know, the card game is literally your, you know, ticket to paradise. It's those that don't have any chips, well, you're doomed to live in the slums for the rest of your life. Those that have chips, you move on up in the world. You can even theoretically become the ruler of this world, which I guess begs the question, okay, has this king always been in power? Did somebody else take that power ship? Is there no stability in this government? It's basically whoever rules, whoever has the most chips makes all the decisions. Like, this This leaves me more questions than answers on how this world operates.
That's just capitalism.
Yeah.
Sure. But I will say that it's definitely. I do agree that they don't. It's not, a lot of it is, cliche at points in terms of like characterization, in terms of power struggles, or in terms of amnesia plot. I will say this though. They did get me with one thing, though, and I'm pretty sure everybody else figured this out before me, but I thought this was just going to be a game. Like, I thought they were in a world from a game. Like putting on a virtual reality helmet, and this was the world of the... I did not know this was actually the real world that they were in. Like, I thought, like, okay, at a certain point, the character's going to take off their visor, and they're in the real world, and they go back into this world to play Build Divide. No, it's actually the real world, so it's like, wow. I did not expect that. That actually caught me by surprise.
I thought the exact same thing. That's why I said the Sword Art Online bit.
So, I guess it's a light yay for me when it comes to plot.
Okay. So, real quick before we continue, that hoodie's $40 on Amazon.
What?
It is.
So...
I'm gonna buy it, like, immediately.
Well,
Are
let's
you
finish the
going to do a
podcast
cosplay?
first. We'll finish the podcast first. And,
I need it.
Okay. Characters. Kozi. Tell us about the characters.
I'm pretty meh. Characters themselves, like design-wise, they're really pretty to look at. Like, they did a good job designing them, but actual characterization, there is not much there. Like Chibi said, they made the protagonist Mr. Edgy McEdgelord, like the male fantasy at its peak. I don't really like that kind of, I feel like, and I'll expand on this in advertising, that they're like, haha, this is like the sexy lady card game. Like, it's a little weird. And I feel like they are aiming for the card game entities to be kind of characters. At least their main one. Like, the only one I remember the name of, Bloom. Like, I feel like Bloom is her own character. Yeah. Also, I think this may be against you guys. I think the hoodie is fucking stupid. It was a dumb gimmick. It was a really dumb gimmick.
How dare you?
I liked it when it looked like cat ears, and then he pulled the bit across his mouth, and I'm like, oh, that's dumb. And then in some shots, it looks like the ears are just like an oval on top of his head.
Yeah.
Like, he looks so dumb.
You know what would really do it with this hoodie for me is if they gave it like the little the little drop down things that you can squeeze and it flaps the ears.
Yes!
I want that.
That'd be perfect.
But with this hoodie.
But Kozi, we have to be honest here. Not everybody can come up with a pyramid piece of jewelry that is possessed by that ancient spirit of a pharaoh. So,
yeah. I feel like the one character who we really got a lot of, like, not necessarily background, but like driving force for, that red-haired guy, he would have been a better protagonist. And the old guy the girl meets up with is a straight rip-off of Urahara from Bleach.
yes!
That's what you're saying.
Yeah! They changed his hat and thought we wouldn't notice!
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, why does this look familiar? But honestly, Kozi, I do agree. I do feel that the red-haired guy would have been a much better main character.
So I'm like,
because he actually has some morals.
I'm like, character-wise, I'm like, I feel like it could get better, I guess, as we know them more. But, like, what they've presented us with is really just kind of a shit show. But at least they're pretty to look at.
Oh, I'm about to fight for Hoodie Boy.
It's okay.
You have to do it after me. So, because I'm up next. And I'm kind of a light yay here. I do agree with you a little bit and what you guys are saying. He is feeling a little bit on the edgelord side. Maybe there's some of that male power fantasy here, but I've seen the epitome of edgelord male power fantasy. It was called Sword Art Online and Kirito, and fortunately it is not that today. I did not find myself as annoyed by this guy, mostly because he doesn't talk a whole lot. I gotta be real with you.
Kirito didn't really talk in the beginning either.
Yeah, but then he did. So...
So it's a wait
Look,
and see.
Yeah, no. Well, I have to base what I have on what I have, and what I have is these 3 episodes. He's quiet enough that he's not annoying, and he isn't as edgy as some shows that I have seen, which are edgelordy. Admittedly, his style, extremely edgelordy. I don't think I'd wear that hoodie, mostly because I couldn't pull it off. But, as far as everyone else goes, I do agree. The most interesting person right now is the redhead. I forget his name. I don't know people's names. He gave me Joe vibes from Skate for some reason. But I think that outside of that, you have a couple other people. I think you're right. They did rip that guy off of Bleach. They switched out his hat and thought we wouldn't notice. We did. But beyond that, we have some other characters that are showing up. We have their little inner circle thing. Not a whole lot of information there, but at least some intrigue there. So that could be interesting to see where that's going. We also have the one name I remember, Sakura, because I'm a Naruto fan. She's there, and she's a schemer. I'm interested to see what she decides to do, because I know that she's probably not the best player, but she's going to game the system. I think she's going to try to moneyball this tournament a little bit. I'm interested to see where she goes with this. I could throw out the middle schooler very easily.
Ugh, yeah.
She's like the one where I'm like, you know what? You're the thing that's going to bring this down probably a lot. You are an annoying character, and you're going to be an annoying character. But maybe they won't give her a lot of screen time. I have hope. So it's not a full yay, but it's a light yay from me.
She's featured pretty prominently in that opening.
I know, but so is Tristan in Yu-Gi-Oh! And is he really there that much? We'll talk about that next week.
Maybe she'll die and it's a memorial piece.
Hey!
Oh.
Maybe. Okay. I'm gonna fight for Hoodie Boy. I like him.
Hold up.
like him.
What's his name?
I don't know. He's Hoodie Boy in my heart. So I didn't find him like, I see what you guys are saying about him being a little edgy, mostly because of his rad hoodie. But I don't know. Like you said, I didn't find him irritating, and the poor guy just wanted bread. Like, he just wanted to go to the bakery and chill. Like, I don't know. Like,
Want to talk about a relatable character?
I love his bread obsession. It made him endearing to me. It gave him a quirk that made me remember him, which is more than I can say about a lot of characters. Yeah, I didn't really find him annoying, to be honest. In terms of the other characters, yeah, I didn't like that little girl. I was hoping she would be gone, but yeah, she was in the opening, so she's probably never going away. But I did like red-haired guy. He was interesting, and I do find Sakura pretty interesting, too. She's one of those mysterious female characters that, you know, it could go either way, but I find her interesting enough. So overall, I would say I liked the characters. I love Hoodie Boy. I stand by him and his hoodie, and I'll give this a yay.
You'll stand in his hoodie.
I'm gonna be in
I
his
want to
hoodie.
see what would happen if we had removed his hoodie from this equation.
If
you would have still liked him.
I want to feed him bread and wrap him in a hoodie. That is all.
Just cue that meme from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I've only had Hoodie Boy in my life for 2 days, but if anything were to happen to him, I'd kill everybody in this room and myself.
True.
I'd put more memes in this if I had more time to edit them.
Sorry, Al.
It's okay.
Oh
We're
my
describing them
goodness.
out loud so you don't have to.
Yeah. Oh, that was good. Sorry. Characters for me, they're meh. I agree with Kozi. Karabe, that's Hoodie Boy, by the way.
You don't care about the character, you care about the hoodie.
I care about the hoodie.
That's fair. Yeah, I feel like he was a little too much episode 2 Kirito for me, so I was just kind of like, nope, we're dropping that. And I liked Sakura because I'm like, oh, stuff is happening. She wants the chips. Let's get more chips. Red hair guy, he's my favorite, but I can't remember what his name is. Like, I liked him a lot. He was cool. And then middle schooler, I feel like she was just kind of there mostly to give us another episode so we could kind of learn the rules. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like that's kind of what her purpose was. Maybe she gets more development later. I don't know. I only have these 3 episodes to go off of. But the king seems kind of interesting. I want to know, like, why they're starting up a new game at this point. Like, what the purpose is and all that. I mean, they're interesting enough, but at the same time, like, I feel like we need more. Or maybe just a less annoying middle schooler in the bunch. Anyway, moving on.
Envy, before you start, can I just, like, say, when you said, I like the red hair guy, but I don't know who he is, it just reminded me of the scene from Futurama. Where the professor's like, maybe I'll get to know all of you. You there, what's your name? And Fry's just like, well, some call me Red Joe. I'm like, maybe we should just call him Red Joe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, if he reminds you of Joe from Skate, he's Red Joe.
That works a little too well.
That's why I had to mention it. I had to mention it. Envy?
Well, first things first, this probably isn't the time for this, so I won't say anything, but a part of me really wants to defend Kirito as a character because I've seen all of Sword Art Online, but I know that's not the time nor the place, nor do I want to get into an argument with people about that. But as far as the characters from this show, I thought Kurabe was a total edgelord, and he basically had 2 motivations: fight and eat bread. And that's it. I feel like he had no other interesting qualities about him. Yeah, he's amnesiac, so he doesn't know much about anything. But other than that,
and he's homeless.
Well, okay, yeah, true. But yeah, I just kind of felt like, okay, he's the generic edgelord protagonist that does well, despite the fact that he's probably playing the game the wrong way, or at the very least, he's only playing it one way. But we'll get to that in advertising. Yeah, I really didn't care for him that much. I will admit, I'm kind of torn on the hoodie. I think it's black, so it automatically looks cool, but at the same time, it does look like a rabbit, and I like rabbits. I don't know if rabbits are intimidating, so...
Is it supposed to be a jackal?
It might be.
I think it might be a jackal. I'm not sure.
It does not come across that way.
Tighnari vibes.
Yeah, it's giving me Tighnari. Maybe it's a fennec. Maybe it's a fox. I don't know.
Well, regardless, I think it looks fine on him, but I don't know if I wouldn't be able to pull it off. Let's put it that way. But the hoodie has more character than him, so I'll give him that.
No. You would be able to, because the whole point is you put the hoodie on and you put the thing across your face, and then you can't even see you. It's like you're a whole other person.
Yep.
It's
I do
certainly
agree
easier than becoming someone who's actually gone through puberty, like in Yu-Gi-Oh! I promise this is the last time I'm bringing up Yu-Gi-Oh!
I didn't mind Tori, the middle schooler. I felt bad for her backstory, literally starting from the bottom and then trying to, not get back to the bottom. I do agree that Sakura probably knows more or is scheming more than she realizes. I have a theory about her, but I won't say it in case it actually comes true. And I like the red-haired guy, Enjo. I think that's his last name. I thought he was pretty cool. So it's a meh, mainly because the main character is just such a... I don't even want to say he's stale. He's too edgy, so he's like burnt toast.
I have come to kick ass and eat bread, and I'm all out of bread.
And I burnt all of the bread.
Oh, funny.
Alright, I'll get this out of the way first. So the hoodie. I also have an oversized black hoodie that I have worn, loved holes into. And then he put the hood up. I was like, oh, he has bunny ears. I love that so much. And then he put the Tokyo Ghoul-ass mouthpiece across his face. I was like, whoa. All right, that's kind of weird. And then for the rest of the show, his bunny ears were sticking straight up and sometimes almost touching, and it looked like a cone coming out of the center of his head. I'm like, this is too much, man. I despise this.
Damn. You're all wrong.
To be fair, I think the hoodie... I think the hoodie in real life would look much better because there's no way the ears are going to stand up like that.
That's true. That's true.
The anime is make or break on the hoodie.
I stand by the hoodie, guys.
You guys have all been mentioning who the other characters are rips of, but I don't think you have mentioned the main character, who's definitely a rip, and I'll tell you who he's ripped off of. He is Alba Saragaki from Dramatical Murder. I know you don't
watched
you probably don't know a lot of Alba's backstory because he spends most of the media on his back, but
Heyo.
It's not a heyo. It's just that's what he does.
It's
He
true.
gets
It's
dog
accurate.
eat a lot.
Alba's a hoe. I know that much.
too literal.
I know.
Oh.
But before the events of the game, he was one of the best players in this. I don't know how to describe this game, but
Just call it what it is.
I don't remember the name of it.
Scrap.
It was Scrap?
I'm pretty sure it was scrap.
It wasn't Rhyme?
It was rhyme. Yeah.
Oh,
It was
you're right.
Rhyme.
But there were two games, and I don't remember who was playing which game. Anyway, it was like a semi-VR kind of thing. Maybe it was more like you were hallucinating the whole thing, but like the damage you took in the game also happened to you in real life. He was like one of the best players in it, and then like there was I think somebody jumped him. I'm a little fuzzy on the details, but basically he lost all of his memories, and it wasn't until somebody dragged him into a game unwillingly that he kind of like his instincts kicked in. He was like, oh, I kind of remember being good at this. And I think that's exactly what's happening to Hoodie Boy. Something happened. He lost all of his memories. He might have used to been a really good player, but now he kind of has to like relearn some
What
of
if
it.
he was the last king, and then he was deposed, and then he's trying to be king again?
That could
Maybe.
Maybe when you get dethroned, you lose your memories.
Yeah.
Then it kind of like gives everybody a fair chance. You don't like jump right back to being on top again.
I am gonna say, they kept saying the king needs a new sacrifice. I don't think the king actually changes.
We don't know that yet. Maybe.
Oh, I think I've been spoiled for a character that'll come later on. So, this is what I get for going on Mao. Ugh.
Oh,
Anyway.
never do it.
I'm kind of annoyed that he made me remember Dramatical Murder like so quickly.
Wow.
That just immediately was in the front of my mind. Like I hate him a little bit for that, and all the other characters I don't really care one way or the other about. So this is a meh leaning towards nay for me.
Before we move on, I just want to jump in real quick. I think Kurabe doesn't necessarily have amnesia anymore. I'm going to stick by that. I think he was in that upper echelon. So he was a spoiled fucking rich kid who had no idea how people lived. And now that he's living like the poor, he's like, what do you mean this is how this works?
Maybe. Anything's possible. We've only seen 3 episodes. So, advertising. I think I'm leading us off here. I'm a yay here. Like, if I'm going off of the stuff that I talked about with Cardfight Vanguard, the kind of, like, ways that I'm looking at this, I'm seeing initial interest. Yes, this looks interesting. Could I play this? Yes, I have played this because this is Duel Masters, and I'm not just saying that. This game was invented by the guy who designed Duel Masters. This is Duel Masters 2.0 with Arknight's art. I haven't played Arknights, but yeah, it looks like it. So, yeah, I'm good on that. Are they teaching you more stuff as things go along? As far as rules go, no, you are learning a little bit more as far as some of the new card effects. But one thing I do want to point out, whereas a lot of shows, including like Cardfight Vanguard and that, will tend to like just straight up show you the whole, well, I shouldn't be getting into comparison. Let's just say that most shows that do card games and stuff like that will mostly focus solely on just the game as the game is being played. This one, as we got to episode 3 and we've kind of figured out how to play the game, it's skipping around a little bit in the game because it understands that you already understand how to play it, so it's kind of leaning more towards the plot. So in a way, it's kind of pulled the advertising back, which I think might be a good thing, because it allows you, one, to connect with the plot a little bit better, and to connect to the characters and what they're doing and going through. But also, you're still being advertised to. It's a little more subtle, though. It's not just throwing it right at your face, like, here, buy the thing. It's like, here's people that you might be interested playing this thing. So I think that's a better idea, and will probably help the plot move along a little faster, so we're not bogged down by the advertising. So yay.
Alright, I'm gonna say the exact opposite pretty much.
Go for it.
I was a nay on advertising. I think the parts with the card games just felt like such a distraction from the plot, and I was way more interested in everything else that was happening. I was more interested in the world and the characters than I ever was in the card game. Every time the card game came on, I just zoned out, and I did not see anything interesting about this card game. I didn't feel like I learned anything about it, to be honest. I mean, I know it was kind of teaching you, but I think it just felt, I don't know, like it just wasn't part of the, like it didn't feel integrated in the story to me. It just felt like it was just there, and it just interrupted the story that I actually wanted to see. So it felt like an annoying commercial rather than a good advertisement, if that makes sense. So, because this made me actively dislike the card game, I'm gonna give it an A for advertising.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
It's fair. I am somewhere between a light nay and a low meh. And honestly, it's mostly for the same reasons that Yin just rattled off. Because I will say, this show is so beautifully done that I was so distracted by what was going on the screen that I wasn't reading the subtitles.
I think that's a separate category.
I wasn't paying attention to like what they were trying to teach me, and I'm like, you could have done basically just gambling because of the chips and the casino and all of the other like gambling themes that we have going on here. You don't need a trading card game. Pardon my microphone. You don't need a trading card game to basically make this show. I feel like it being like a cyberpunk like poker game would have been good enough. Like I feel like that would have been like fine. Like the fact that it's like a trading card game where you have all these different little avatars and things, like I feel like that was just like more of another way for them to like make money and like do character design and things like that. Also make people's waifus, because let's face it, that's probably what some of it's gonna be.
This is the collect them all tournament.
Yeah. But yeah, I felt like it really detracted from, like, me actually, like, learning the game. Because I feel like I actually understood Vanguard a lot more than I understood this one. Because I wasn't distracted by all the visuals and the fucking music. But that's for production. So, anyway. Somewhere between a nay and a meh.
I'm more on Al's side with this one. I liked the card game aspect. I definitely think it's probably more complicated to learn than Vanguard was, and they do an okay job of explaining it. The way that it's animated, like the battle scenes itself, I know that's more a production thing, but like the way it was animated, it almost felt like a mobile game ad you would see on like YouTube. And I looked it up. So far, it's only an anime original. There's no other media for this game other than the physical card game. So, like, I'm surprised they haven't made a mobile spin-off of this yet. Maybe it'll come in the future. But it kind of makes me interested in playing the game. I will admit, though, I think the card game is more interesting with the fact that it's tied so heavily to the world, because it's a life or death or poverty versus riches kind of thing. So it's I I like the card game itself, so I guess I'd give it a light yay.
More with Cheebs and Yin here. I not big on card games. I found like the plot interesting, but having to just, it was kind of like watching somebody level grind, and that was annoying. I'm like, just, can you do this off screen so we can like get back to the plot? So I'm a nay on advertising.
Oh, I forgot to say one thing real quick. The main character, I don't know if it's just because he's the protagonist and, he just gets away with it because he's the main protagonist, but I feel like if you're literally playing the same cards with the same exact strategy over and over again, eventually you're going to lose. Eventually, your luck's going to run out. And it's like, okay, he was able to get away with it 3 times in a row, playing that same woman card with the same casino luck card, with the same reviving thing. And maybe there's pro players in different card games that use the same cards and the same strategy. They just get lucky. But I feel like at a certain point, you have to change up your strategy a little bit.
That is actually a thing.
Okay, it is a thing, because I was going to say she's the territory card.
Yeah, do you want to go off of that? Because I think you watched the tutorial stuff too, right?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm like hard no for this. But so the reason that she's so like central and like the strategy is repeated, one, she is the territory card and they have to have that for everything, but also I didn't just watch like the tutorials. I kind of dug into like what's going on with the card game itself. There are not that many cards.
Yeah, like, it only came out like 2 years ago, or like a year and a half or so.
I think you guys might have also noticed like the opponents were using like a lot of the same like kind of grunt level enemies and stuff.
Yes.
There aren't that many variable cards in the game yet. And I imagine when this first came out, there were even less, because I think there were only 4 original decks and there were no expansion packs when it first came out.
Yeah.
So they did not have a lot to work with.
These guys were poor.
Just like him, he's living down by the river.
They spent all the money on the show and not enough money on the cards.
Well, to build off of what you're saying, Kozi, also, you mentioned the territory thing, but to expand on that, his whole deck, everyone's deck is kind of built around whatever their ace territory thing is. So our main character's deck is based around the Bloom Girl, and Red Joe's deck is based around
luck.
Yeah, he's a gambler. Like, Red Joe's is based around Leomon. So, of course, he lost. Of course, that was going to die. Leomon always dies. Spoiler. But, yeah. And I'm sure if we see Sakura play again, her, how do we describe that? Railgun lady? That's going to be used a lot. I feel like you build a deck.
She looks like, Amu's blue transformation from Chugachara.
Okay. I think the idea
you would
is
get that.
You build a deck around one card, then you have a bunch of cards that work with that card to play the game. So if you switch out,
your entire deck is just a throwaway for your ace.
Yeah,
I guess that makes sense for this game. I just feel like if you did that strategy for like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or something like that, you get your ass kicked a bunch of times.
You absolutely would. That's kind of why I said, I feel like a lot of the cards are actually like characters in and of themselves. But to expand on the advertising thing, Al says it reminds him of Duel Masters. I said it reminds me of Magic, but
they're the same thing.
Same thing, yeah. I think if you were looking to play something of that style, Duel Masters or Magic would be better. Like the twist with like the cards and the Buster card like costing you more life, like that was weird. Like I don't like that all of the cards themselves are the energy and stuff, and I wasn't able to pick up the gameplay from just the show. I had to watch the tutorials and read about it to actually understand what they were saying, because they didn't like expand on a lot of things. The only thing I will give it points for is... Oh, also, like, again, the sexy lady card game, that's so fucking weird, I hate it. They did have a Madoka tie-in, though. And those cards are very pretty.
They are pretty.
So yeah, no.
Yin, you want to talk about production?
Yeah, I think overall, I liked the production in this. I do like the aesthetic. I like these kind of worlds, so I might have a bit of a bias. I do like the more cyberpunk, futuristic type worlds. And I have played Arknights, and it does look a lot like that, and I like that about it. I think overall I prefer Arknights designs. This kind of feels a bit like a knockoff kind of designs, but it still looks good. And I like that kind of like cyberpunk streetwear look. And I do think the battles look good. I mean, once again, I wasn't very interested in them, but I think they're done well. There were parts of me that felt like this looked like it was made in 2015, and I'm not sure why. I feel like maybe it was the coloring. I don't know what it is about it, but there's something about the tones or the way it looks slightly blurry on purpose that made me think of like the mid-2000s, which kind of annoyed me. So for that reason, I'm not going to give it a full yay. I'm just going to give it a light yay because, I don't know, it felt somewhat dated, but I liked it overall. And I liked the music, and everything was done fairly well. And of course, I know I'm in the minority, but I love that boy's hoodie, and I'll just bring it back. So I'll give it a light yay.
Yeah, I will say I will also, like, give it somewhere between, like, a light yay to a yay. Visually, it's really good. Like, I can't knock it for character design or anything, because, like, it looks really nice. Music's really good. Like, all the battle music, I'm just like, oh my god. I know this person isn't the composer for Madoka, but it's really good. And then, opening theme song was very good. It's still stuck in my head. Anyway. Those are my thoughts. Envy, take it away.
I don't know how I'm going to top that brilliant commentary, but but no, in all seriousness, it was, I mean, for a show that came out, less than a year ago or a little over a year ago, I think it does, it's obviously modern production, and yeah, I don't have anything to say. I mean, the voice cast all around is pretty good. Even the main character, the voice actor did a good job for him. Yeah, the action looks great. The music looks great. I like the OP song as well, and the opening itself is really good. So yeah, I don't have any complaints with the production. So it's a yay for me.
Yeah, it's pretty. I like the cyberpunk aesthetic. The theme song's a fucking banger.
It's also called Bang.
Exactly. Banger. Yeah, it's a yay for me.
Oh no. I'm the contrarian.
You usually are. That or me. So.
Oh no.
Well, no. I mean, Yen said that they weren't.
No,
a huge
I
fan
liked
of
it.
this
I like the
so.
aesthetic.
No, I think
I'm
the contrarian is usually me.
Everybody, let's let Kozi speak.
Yeah, I would give it an A. I think for being in 2021 with so much of like the actual content of the show being kind of just stolen from other stuff, that the animation was also just not very good for being 2021. Like, there were a lot of points where it was janky. It was super janky animation. Especially, like, in the overworld, not in, like, the card game fights.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have animated everything like they did between, like, the card game battles, I would be more inclined to like it. But, again, it's 2021. Like, it was just a laziness on their part. Or poor budget. Either or.
Or COVID.
They did a bunch of, like, cheap tricks to, like, kind of distract away from where they cut a lot of corners. And, like, if you're not paying attention to that stuff, like, you probably won't notice, but, like, I was looking at it. And, like, it really, from a production standpoint, like, they had already taken so much from other series. They could have put something, like, just one facet of the show where, like, they went really hard. I will say probably actually a meh, though, just because, like, that fucking opening was so cool. Like, that was my favorite part of the entirety of these 3 episodes. Like, I think that was done very well. And, like, as for, like, the music and stuff, like, I don't feel like any of that, like, really actually stuck out to me, which is maybe a good thing. Like, if it's background music, you don't really want people to be, like, focused on that, but...
Not like a hoodie.
Yeah. Not like a hoodie.
Yeah, I didn't notice the little hiccups that you're talking about. I think that it did, at the very least, maybe it's because I wasn't looking for them, but I thought they hid them well if they were there. I'm a yay here. Like you guys, like a lot of you are saying, I don't think there's much to complain about here. I think it looks good. I think it sounds good. Openings, endings, pretty good. Good job. Chippy, want to lead us into final thoughts?
Final thoughts. So, I'm somewhere between a meh and a light yay. Mostly just because, like, as far as the show is concerned, like, plot, while it's kind of, like, in the starting stages and it's more just to, like, get us sort of introduced to the game, and while it's a really, really, like, I personally really like the visuals and the music, I feel it's lacking a bit in the characters department, and I think they focused a lot on making the card fights themselves. They focused too much on making them look visually stunning, that I feel like it detracted a bit from, like, our focus on, like, what they're actually trying to explain to us for how to play the game. So, yeah, it kind of lands somewhere in there, probably a bit closer to a meh, if I'm gonna be honest.
For me, the setup of the world and the way that the characters progress through the world, basically the setup of the world and how, you know, it's the system of the world is set up with the game, and, you know, you live or die by the game, is what is really motivating me to want to keep watching if we do keep watching it. I do agree that, you know, the characters aren't entirely original, and I'm not a big fan of the MC, but again, I just think that it's got such a unique, well, not so much of a unique, but it's got like a unique concept for a card game, because, like, I don't think too many card games are life or death, minus, you know, some of the bigger ones. So I'll give it a light yay for final thoughts. I'd be interested to see where the rest of this season goes.
This one, I think it's a meh overall. It's pretty, and I like the plot outside of the card game, but there's too much of the card game in there that I don't like. I did fall asleep during this one.
Did you?
I don't even know who the red guy is you're talking about.
Red Joe?
Yeah, I don't know who that
He's
is.
the sex appeal.
Oh, well. You mean the hoodie wasn't?
The hoodie
No.
was.
Hoodie's too
I would argue
divisive.
he's sex appeal. I think he's, like, husbando material.
This does sound a lot like Joe from Skate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I would like to know where the story goes. I just don't want to slog through the level grinding of playing the card game over and over again.
Yeah, I'm also a meh. Like, I am fairly interested just because they threw so many plot points at us that I would be interested in seeing where they would go, but, like, I wouldn't really be interested in watching it. This is one of those series where, like, I just want to satisfy my curiosity, so I would, like, go read, like, the synopsis of it and, like, spoil myself. I have not done that, but, like, I wouldn't personally continue watching it.
It feels so weird to be like, because I'm usually somewhere in the middle of everybody else's opinions. It feels so weird to be on the opposite end of a lot of you guys, because I'm a yay here. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the card game. I enjoyed the setting. Yeah, a lot of this shit is very much ripped off, but it's ripped off well enough.
We'll say that's not the opposite end. We're all in the middle.
Okay. I feel like I heard like a lot of nays going around for most of these categories is all.
It was mostly meh.
Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, I thought it all looked really nice. I was interested in the card game. I'm interested enough in where people are going with this that I'm actually like, you know what? I would like to watch the next couple of these episodes. So I'm a yay.
I'm gonna circle back around to meh. I feel like I liked the world, and like Cece was saying, I liked everything that was happening outside the card game, but I just found the card game really boring. And it looks nice, but it's just not an interesting card game in my opinion. I don't find the battles interesting at all, and I would zone out during those parts. But I think there is some merit here, even though a lot of it's super derivative to me. I think the world is still interesting enough that I wouldn't give it an A. And I think his hoodie is cute enough that I wouldn't give it an A. So, I'm okay.
Well, when we get to the ending of this, can we have like
I'm already there for
favorites in every category? Because I think we know Yin's.
It's just the hoodie.
That's the hoodie.
Oh, we're gonna get to the bottom of this real quick. We're gonna get to the bottom of this real quick because we're going into the actual back and forth now. So before we get down to this, before we start deciding the yays and nays, who gets the yays, who gets the nays, who's going to be moving on, before we get to any of this, we're going to have a sixth special category just for this episode. Each of us has to go around yay or nay on the hoodie. Okay. Envy, we're starting with you.
Are we starting with the hoodie?
We're starting with the hoodie. We're finishing this right now.
I don't want to just be a contrarian and say meh right out of the gate, so I guess if I had to pick one way or the other, I guess I'm a yay.
Yay!
I'm a hard yay. A nay.
No!
The yay was so hard it was nay.
It was a Freudian slip.
Around.
You ever yay so hard you circle back to the opposite?
It's like you go to make a very sharp turn and you immediately make another sharp turn because that was the wrong turn.
I liked it so much I hate it.
Go right to go left.
Okay, wait.
Didn't I do this last episode too?
2 wrongs don't make a right, but 3 rights make a left.
Yes.
Did you drop the hoodie link in Amazon, anyone?
No.
I can
Someone
do
will.
it.
Someone
I'll
drop
do it.
it.
Yeah, do it real quick. I need to see it before I make a decision.
Wait, we're talking
here.
about the animated hoodie though, right?
Yes, this is anime yay or nay, not hoodie
if
yay.
we're just going anime, the animated one, no. Nay. Like, if they would have, like, excluded just like a few parts of it. Like, it did not need to be all of that together. Do I think it would look cute in real life? Yes. Like, again, if you want to buy that hoodie and go live out your best edgelord dreams, go for it.
No,
I think it would look
will.
cute, but like in the show itself, no.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm a nay here. I think there's a lot better, like,
Stop!
just aesthetics or something they could have gone with here.
Oh, it's the full
just-
tracksuit. Oh my god.
You can buy
Gotta be
just the
real with
hoodie,
you.
but they do also have a tracksuit.
It's striking, sure.
I think it's like wired or something so the ears.
But I gotta be real with you. I would go without it.
Oh.
You're all wrong, except Envy, because the hoodie is a yay, and you all know the hoodie's a yay for me, though I don't like the tracksuit. Like, somebody has to make the hoodie just disconnected, and then it will be perfect.
They do. Just the hoodie itself is like $20.
Oh,
So.
there we go.
if the ears were floppy and if there wasn't a mouthpiece, it would be perfect.
Yeah, I will say, I like the hoodie because I actually, you guys know me, I like hoodies with like ears because I do actually have like 1 or 2 of those. But if it didn't have the mouthpiece, it would be perfect. So the hoodie's a meh.
You have to pick a yay or a nay. I think Envy would have picked a meh otherwise.
Yeah,
Ah!
I need a decision.
This is the most important part of the episode.
It really is.
You know what? I wear a mask all the time still, so the mouthpiece is fine by me.
Woo!
So yay.
It's a fucking
Can you
tie.
deal with those ears standing straight up?
Oh my god, we're
Yes.
actually divided on the hoodie.
It's a fucking
Literally.
tie. I'm gonna get
Gab.
so so mad at
Gav
Gav
should
for
still
not
be
being
available.
here.
It's a stalemate.
We'll
No,
get
Gav should still be.
okay. Someone text them.
Send
need
a
to move on.
screenshot. A
We need
screenshot
to-
of the hoodie.
In the anime
From the
specifically,
show, though, not the anime.
we need to move on.
Only the animated one?
Yeah, not from Amazon.
We need to move on. Somebody do that in the background because we actually have to move on to the actual categories here. We're starting with plot. Envy, since this was kind of a joke plot, why don't you lead us off? Where's your yay going for plot?
I mean, this one's pretty easy for me. Card game Vanguard, whatever it's called. It's basically kid plays a card game, gets a little bit of confidence. That's pretty much it. Whereas the other game had lore. It had, it had stakes. It had, something to it. So it's build divide for me for plot.
For me, it is Vanguard.
Are you gonna expand on that at all?
I I would give it to Build Divide if I was sure that Build Divide wouldn't win.
Nothing is certain.
I
will say that.
Yeah, since I'm going so early, it's like I'd rather have the typical sport anime gay rival plot over the cyberpunk.
I'm gonna give it to Build Divide just because there is more of a plot. Gab broke the tiebreaker.
It's a
It's
nay.
a nay.
No!
Okay, I'm just gonna leave them on red now, even though they asked a question.
No!
There are so many more plot elements to Build Divide than there are in Vanguard, so I have to give it to them.
Same. I know I was flopping around a lot with plot and that for Build Divide because I was going like, oh, it's ripping so many things off. But it rips it off well enough that it's kind of like, yeah, at least it's keeping me interested a little bit more than Cardfight Vanguard.
Yeah, I would say I didn't like the card parts of Build Divide, but I think if I had to consider the parts outside of the card parts, I think there was more plot, and I think the plot was a little more interesting than what was going on in Cardfight Vanguard, so I'll have to give it to Build Divide.
Yeah, I will give my vote to Build Divide for plot because it actually sort of developed a plot, whereas Vanguard I felt like was more just fun times, teach you how to play.
Yeah. Well, Build Divide takes the yay for plot, but more importantly, the hoodie took the nay.
No!
We have to be very clear. That's the most important part of this episode. It's a nay on the hoodie. In the anime. Eventually.
Yin, I'm telling you, just save it for once we finish the entire tournament. We'll do a favorite character thing. Maybe we'll back you up.
Listen.
The hoodie!
Look, hey, the category was anime hoodie. Nay. Eventually, you get this thing before the tournament's over. We will do a revote and see if it works in real life.
Okay. Good.
Meantime, though,
We'll avenge the hoodie.
we'll see. Meantime, though, we got to move on to characters. Cece, you're leading us off. Who's getting your yay?
My yay goes to Vanguard. I did not like the characters from Build Divide. They reminded me of other things that I have love-hate relationships with at best, and at worst, they meant nothing to me.
I will also give it to Vanguard, although Aichi is like another knockoff protagonist. At least he is a likable knockoff protagonist. Also, I feel like it just feels better to like the characters who have morals versus the characters who have shown to not have great morals. So,
Is bread not a moral?
Bread is
the true neutral moral.
Bread is parallel to a moral. I'm actually going to go with Build Divide here. I think you're right that Cardfight Vanguard has some very good baseline characters. And yeah, the main character of Build Divide, not great, but I'm kind of more interested in his supporting cast for the most part. I'm kind of interested in Bleach Guy. I'm kind of interested in Red Joe and Sakura and what's going on with there. I think they have some stuff going on a little more that I'm interested in, so that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Although the characters didn't annoy me in Cardfight Vanguard, there wasn't really much going on there. Whereas I think the supporting cast was stronger in Build Divide, whatever you think about the main character and his hoodie.
No, we're very clear on what we think about the hoodie.
I know, and you're wrong. But anyway, regardless, I think the overall cast was a little stronger in Build Divide, so I'll give it to that one.
Yin's gonna have a whole TED talk prepared by next week about this hoodie.
I will.
Oh, jeez. I will say that for these shows, despite the fact that, like, Build Divide does have some interesting, like, supporting cast characters, but I feel like, for me, given my tastes, for characters, that Vanguard has more characters that I just genuinely would like. Even though, yes, they're very basic. I can't help it. I'm a basic person. Leave me alone. But yeah,
I would argue you normally don't like basic characters. You usually need a bit of complexity.
I mean, yes, but...
Except for sports anime.
Edgelords kind of put me over the edge for a show a little bit, so we're going with kind of the ones that actually have, like, some likability if I'm gonna have to spend some time with them. So we're going with Vanguard.
My thoughts are exactly the same as Al and Yin.
Well, that's a tie. Yet again, we need Gav, and they're not here.
I mean, do we just,
we'll
like, save
back
it till the
around.
end? Yeah,
we save
we'll
it. We
back
save
around.
it
let's
till the
save
end.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Advertising. Kozi, you're leading us off.
Vanguard. I feel like it explained the game more. It was definitely, like, easier to comprehend and feel like you could go out and pick this up. And something I did not mention in the advertising for Build Divide, you talked about how they were accurate in portraying the game.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my virtual reality for Build Divide?
Oh, we're gonna
Where's
go
my
there.
card that can cut a knife in half?
Oh, we're going to go... Hey, I could actually send you to some sites if you want. It's not going to be a Build Divide card, but it is a card.
Well, then it didn't work for advertising.
Okay. Well, it worked for me. Because I will say this. I think both of these, in my opinion, did a really great job with their advertising. And I think both of the games felt like, for the most part, they were games that you could learn in 10 minutes and then play in 5. And I do like the sort of easy pickup stuff. I don't know why everyone else couldn't figure out what was going on in Build Divide, because I got Build Divide. But more importantly, because they're so evenly matched, to me, I had to go with the one that I'm more interested in playing. And maybe this is because it reminds me of Duel Masters, but I'd probably go Build Divide in this.
I'm gonna have to go with Vanguard for this one. I was not at all interested in the Build Divide card game. I at least was somewhat interested in the other one when they were talking about how to play it, so I just found it to be the more interesting card game, so I'll give it to Vanguard.
Yeah, I will also give it to Vanguard, because I could actually follow along with it. Build Divide just was kind of hard to follow after a while, because I was not paying attention to words.
Yeah, I'm gonna base this purely on what card game I would rather play, and while I think Build Divide would probably be a more fun game to watch people play, I think Vanguard would be a better game for me to play. So I'm gonna go with Vanguard. I lost my train of thought there for a second.
I'm also going with Vanguard. I don't really have any interest in these kinds of games. I've never played them, and maybe that's why I couldn't really follow with with Build Divide. I didn't may have just been going like too fast or throwing around, like jumping around in the rules too quick, but I could not pay attention, I could not keep up, and I got bored. But with Vanguard, I was able to figure it out enough that now I kind of want to be like, I kind of want to try it just to see if the show taught me anything.
Yeah, maybe in the next convention we could, like, see if they have, like, a free tutorial kind of thing. Might give you, like, some cards and let you play some people. Either case, Vanguard wins advertising category, and I will now lead us into production. So, to me, I think both of these did a pretty good job with the production, but to me, I think that Build Divide, it looked a little bit better. I think its production quality was just a little bit higher, and that's kind of where I'm leaning here, and yeah, I'm going with that.
Yeah, I think overall, I found Build Divide to be more aesthetically interesting. The other one didn't have much of an aesthetic character to it. It was kind of just a generic look. So if you asked me which one I would remember the production for, it would be Build Divide. The theme song was also fantastic, as we've mentioned before. Yeah, I think it's just more memorable overall, so Build Divide.
Yeah, I think visually and, like, sound-wise, I will say Build Divide was far better, in my opinion. Listen, if something is, like, distracting enough to me to keep me from actually reading what the show was about from the subtitles, like, you gotta be capturing my attention at least. If my eyeballs aren't reading and they're watching, that's when you know. So yeah.
You just have to activate your Sharingan like the rest of us do.
I can't.
It's like a... What is there an opposite for a backhanded compliment? It's like a front-handed insult.
I think that's just blatantly insulting someone.
No, but like you're insulting them to compliment them.
Yeah.
I'd expect you to be a lot uglier.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
For me, I think both voice casts do a decent enough job. The main character for Vanguard's voice got a little annoying for me, but again, the character of the main character Build Divide kind of evens that out. As far as, better animation, obviously Build Divide's probably gonna have better animation because it's 2021 compared to 2012. What sets it apart for me is Vanguard, it's a regular world. It's just regular Japan, nothing else. Whereas Build Divide is is it a wholly original fantasy world or sci-fi world? No, but it's different than just regular Japan. So for that reason, I'm going to give it to Build Divide.
I will also be going with Build Divide for this one, with the exception of like very crunchy 80s anime. I will pretty much always pick whichever is the newest option. It's prettier.
See, I'm normally the same, but I'm being the contrarian here, even though it doesn't matter. I think for being 2021, it should not have had, like, those animation errors. Like, and that really bothers me. Especially when something from 2012, well, yes, not as aesthetically pleasing style-wise. Like, everything was pretty smooth in it. So I'm gonna give it to Vanguard.
Okay. Well, Build Divide takes production, and now we go into final thoughts. And Yin, you're leading us off, so which one of these would you rather watch in a few weeks?
Why is that to be me?
Because that's how orders work.
Damn it. This is hard.
The hoodie. This is all your hoodie comments coming back to haunt you.
This is hard. I think judging by in my final thoughts for each, I think in my final thoughts for Vanguard, I gave it a light yay, and in my final thoughts for the other one, I gave it a meh. And I think it comes down to the card games, because that's what this is about. And the card games, I swear, take up like 15 minutes of a 20-minute show. Maybe it takes up at least half of every episode. So if I'm going to sit there and watch one of the card games, I'm going to have to give it to Vanguard because it has a more interesting card game to me. Even though I do think the world and the characters are more interesting in Build Divide, in terms of what I would want to continue watching, I want to continue the one that's going to keep me more engaged. So I'm going to say Vanguard.
So, for me, I am also gonna base my final thoughts vote on what my actual final thoughts were. And I want to say that my final thoughts were similar to Yin's, where one of them was like a light yay, and one of them was a meh. And the one that I gave a light yay to was Vanguard, so that's my vote.
Guys, we're gonna have to do an official tiebreaker.
I'm scared.
We'll
I'm
get
scared.
to we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Well, mine's easy. I was more invested and more interested in Build Divide, so Build Divide wins for me.
Vanguard gets my vote. It was less of a slog to sit through the card game aspect of it. And even if it doesn't move on, I'm probably going to go back and watch more of it. Maybe it's just the sexual tension keeps it interesting.
Oh, doesn't it always?
I'm here for that.
I'm also gonna go Vanguard. I would prefer to watch that definitely over Build Divide. And while Build Divide has a bunch of like plots going on where you're like, ooh, I want to see where this goes. Like I said, like the curiosity doesn't really extend that far. Like if I could just read the ending, I would do that. Where with Vanguard, I'm actually interested in seeing where we go and how we get there. So.
Surprising no one. I'm going with Build Divide. Sorry, I pulled a CC. Yeah.
Yay so
Look,
much, you nay.
Yeah. I don't know why everyone keeps saying they couldn't follow this game. I don't understand that. I followed it perfectly, I think.
I didn't say I didn't follow
No,
it.
you
I
did,
just
but
thought
everyone else
Vanguard
seemed
was
to,
more
for the most
easier.
part.
I just thought it was a boring game. Like, that's
Fine.
all.
Fine. Okay.
Some of us were
so-
asleep. Some of us need to be on Adderall.
Well,
To be fair, like Magic is a baseline game, can be pretty boring if you're not playing it.
Yeah.
that's fair. And this is a derivative of Magic. So,
Yeah.
either way, Cardfight Vanguard wins final thoughts. Now, before we all start going crazy, I just want to say what the scores are. We have 2 yays for Build Divide, 2 yays for Cardfight Vanguard, and both of them have a meh. As of right now, does anyone want to change their opinion on characters and switch sides? Because if not, I have a way that we can decide this.
Okay, what's the way?
Well, at
Do you know the way?
At the end of it all, final thoughts did go to Vanguard. I feel like in the event of a tie, the person who wins, we want to watch more of this category, that would be a tiebreaker in a way. So, does anyone have any other thoughts on that? Because we can make that a rule moving forward. I think we brought this up a little bit whenever we had, it was a little different. I think we had, what was it? It was 7 Deadly Sins versus Bleach, and they tied on all the categories except for Final Thoughts, where, actually I think it was 7 Deadly Sins won more categories, but then we gave our Final Thoughts to Bleach, and we were almost like, should we give it to Bleach instead, even though they won less, and we decided not to. But I think in this case, this can work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I feel like the other alternative would have to be like we actually keep track of what our yays and nays were
I did.
for every category for the show.
I did.
Oh.
Yeah, I mark how many people. Do you want me to count up how many yays and nays everybody got?
That's what you meant.
Oh,
Okay.
you could do that. You could count them all.
Build Divide has 16. Cardfight Vanguard has 14.
What?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So total yays.
So we can either go final thoughts popular vote or number of yays.
If it's me, and maybe it's because I brought up the idea, but I do think since the majority of people wanted to continue Cardfight Vanguard, I'm going to lean that way, despite the fact that it is not the one that I wanted to watch for the next time.
Okay.
That's big of you.
Well,
It
I don't
That's
think
fair.
he doesn't not want to watch Vanguard.
between the two, I said I wanted to watch Build Divide, and I'm sticking with that.
Well,
but
no. CC's like, oh, that's big of you
it's
to
not
watch
big
the
of
one
me.
you didn't want to, but
I'm
like,
taking myself out of it. I'm looking at this from this one probably the most important category for any of these categories. Do you want to keep watching this shit?
Yeah,
And
that's fair.
if you win
No,
that,
I think
then
that's fair.
that's pretty much
That
it.
is
You win
fair.
that.
Yeah.
So, Cardfight Vanguard goes on. It's our first winner for the card game stuff. Real quick, does anyone have any final thoughts on Build Divide that we should mention? I realize we've basically talked about everything that we've seen about it, so we know nothing else. But
Yeah,
any
I
final
don't think
thoughts on
anybody
it?
knows it.
I know a little something because I accidentally spoiled myself. Oops.
I'm curious how you did that because I could not find any spoilers.
Honestly, at this point, I think you should be allowed to. They're out, so...
The thing is like, I didn't go on, like, Wikipedia. I went, like, to my anime list, and I was, like, scrolling, and I think I found it that way. Also, I also went on, like, the wiki page, like, itself for Build Divide, like, the Wikia, the fandom wiki, and, because I wanted to know what kind of animal that hoodie was.
What is
Because it's
it?
gonna
What comes
haunt
down to
me.
the fucking hoodie?
They didn't have it listed,
No.
but it gave a certain character a title, I think. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. But we're not going to talk about it.
Okay, keep your secrets.
I might continue to watch this, so I
Drop
guess
the link
thank
so
you.
we could spoil ourselves if we want.
I mean, I also kind of do want to see where it goes. Like, despite giving it a meh, I do, like, want to know the plot.
You just
At
wanted to watch
least.
Cardfight Vanguard more. That's fine.
Yeah!
And, hey, here's one thing we can all be happy about. And I mean all of us can be happy about. We don't have to watch the hoodie again.
No! Stop!
Okay, so all that out of the way, Cardfight Vanguard moves on. It's our first winner for the card games category. We'll go on to face off against the winner of next week's match. Let's talk about that because we got some, well, one bigot and one niche one going up against each other. And weirdly enough, they're two that we've actually watched on this channel before. Next week is Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus Duel Masters. Save your comments for that week. There's a lot of shit.
Remember when you said you weren't going to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh anymore?
I have to now. Shut up.
You said for the episode.
This is for the episode. All right, we'll talk about that and other things coming up. Who knows? Maybe we'll find someone else with some sort of other clothing that we have to just talk about. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series, Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!